Welcome.
We're starting off with storms today. Uh, s- Another weather condition. Thunderstorms and dust storms, they're the two major types of storms that are common in Pakistan. The thunderstorms, first of all. So the northern and northwestern areas experience thunderstorms. North, northwest. And mostly in summers, the months, specific months could be April to June. And in winters, after the monsoon season, the northern and northwestern areas experience these thunderstorms from September to October. So you could say that these are the post-monsoon thunderstorms, September to October. And yeah, similarly, the sandstorms are mostly common in the desert areas, the lower Indus plains, and at times the upper Indus plains. So yeah, you could say southern plains or northwestern Balochistan. All right. Also affect upper Indus plains. And considering the fact that the Indus plains are the most productive agricultural regions of Pakistan, these sandstorms can damage the crops in those seasons. And they could also affect the annual yields. So similarly, tropical cyclones, they originate from the Arabian Sea and they affect the coastal areas of Sindh and Balochistan. All right, we're done with these storms now. Let's look at droughts. So droughts are basically the sort of natural hazards when the rainfall is extremely low, the water table falls, and the water shortage basically results in these droughts. There are a total of 4 types of droughts that hit Pakistan. Number one, the permanent droughts. Number two, seasonal droughts. Number four, invisible drought. And unpredictable droughts. So the permanent droughts are experienced when crop cultivation is not at all possible without irrigation, and the water shortage is at its extreme level. So you could say crop cultivation not possible without irrigation. And you can also note these areas down, for example, Thal, Cholistan, Chaghi. So these are the regions of Sindh and Balochistan that experience permanent droughts. The seasonal droughts are experienced when the areas um, when the areas that usually experience a good amount of rainfall, and at times occasionally the rainfall you could say the quantity of rainfall falls below the average. So that is, I mean, the dry seasons are basically known as the season droughts in those areas. So you could say dry seasons generally, and examples could be the Potova Plateau, and southern Punjab. Invisible droughts are basically, they're a result of water deficiency. And when the crop yields are just reduced, crop yields are reduced, they're not destroyed actually here. So these invisible droughts, they do affect the areas to an extent, but the results aren't as destructive as the results are of these permanent seasonal droughts. So little effect to crops, yields reduced, not destroyed. And the unpredictable droughts are when the rainfall levels are low abnormally in areas with humid climates. For example, the coastal areas. So abnormally low rainfalls in humid climate areas. Okay. So yeah, how can we manage these droughts? Now, preventions and precautions. Water storage schemes. Okay, so you can build more reservoirs and dams. Also, more projects to meet the local water demands of the growing population. The secondly, we can use new technology. For example, the desalination processes. All of the water from the Arabian Sea could be used after this desalination process. So use of technology. This is how the available water could be maximized. For example, desalination. Then lining of canals. To avoid water wastage, because a lot of the water that goes to the reservoirs through these canals get wasted because of um, the weak linings, the weak pavements. So it's important to have very strong, very sustainable linings. Planning and management of water resources. For example, high priority should be given to the um, areas where the industries are located, agricultural processes take place. So yeah, it is important that water is planned, it's distributed accordingly, and obviously the use has to be made sustainable. So the current demands can be met properly and without making a compromise on the demands of the future generations. This is what could be done to manage these droughts. We're done with the topic, the second unit, climate change. You can either take a screenshot, you can just note things down. Please let me know if there's any questions on this topic. All right, okay. So should we move on to the next topic today? I think we can start off with the new topic. It is water resources, unit number 3. Let's change the whiteboard. Okay. Okay, so water resources. Let's talk about the natural resources first of all. Natural resources are basically all the resources that meet our economic or social needs, and they're basically unchanged materials of the land that are obviously very valuable to the people. They're categorized into two major categories. Number one, the renewable resources and the non-renewable resources. The renewable natural resources are those that can be renewed again and again. For example, and they're not really natural. We can use natural resources to produce renewable energy resources. For example, solar power, wind power, hydroelectric power. So all of these power generation techniques, they make use of these natural resources such as water, sunlight, wind, to produce renewable energy. Yeah, and non-renewable resources are those that cannot be replenished again and again. For example, the fossil fuels, coal, natural gas, crude oil. Once they're, I mean, once they're used, they cannot be replenished. So you should know the difference between the renewable and the non-renewable resources. Yeah. Okay. Now, hydrological cycle. This is the first topic. Okay. So the hydrological cycle is, I mean, you would have studied it in your science subjects as well. How the water basically falls as precipitation, it's then evaporated and the cycle continues. So it is basically a cycle that represents this process of rainfall, um, evaporation, condensation, and precipitation. All right, and rainfall, most of the rainwater travels from the northern areas. Let's imagine from the north to the south of Pakistan, from the mountains to the Arabian Sea. And the water travels from the glaciers of the north, and it travels through the rivers, the river system of Pakistan, to the deposits, the Arabian Sea here. This is a general map of how the water flows. So the Indus River system is the major river system that flows all across Pakistan. So let's look at the general path of the Indus River. It is the largest river of Pakistan, and it is obviously watered by the glaciers of these northern mountains. For example, the Karakorams, the Himalayas, the Hindu Kush ranges, and so starting from the north, let me just trace out how the water flows through the river Indus. So first of all, okay, we're talking about the Indus system here. North, for example, the Karakoram mountain ranges, the Himalayas, and the Hindu Kush. Water then goes from these mountains to the Gilgit-Baltistan range. And from the Gilgit-Baltistan, it goes through the, it turns south of the Hindu Kush and Himalayas, and then southwest. It leaves the mountain ranges at Kalabagh, So yeah, and after that, the water enters Punjab Plains, and then to the Sindh Plains, and finally to the Arabian Sea. So this is the general path that the water takes from the northern mountains to the Arabian Sea. You should know about this because at times, yes, you will be asked to comment on the path of River Indus. And obviously, generally, you should know how the water flows from all of these regions. Now, let's look at the importance of River Indus. So, first of all, water is provided for the domestic and industrial processes. Secondly, supply of water for irrigation, fishing industry, hydroelectric power, all of these dams in Pakistan, such as the Mangla Dam, the Tarbela Dam, are basically the reservoirs that store water from River Indus, and these hydroelectric power plants are located on these dams to generate electricity. So examples could be Mangla Dam and Tarbela Dam. Then add to the scenic beauty, tourism. All right. And here we're done with the importance of River Indus as well. Um, so I'm going to draw a map here to explain how the Indus River spreads into its tributaries, the eastern and the western tributaries of River Indus. So assuming this is the map of Pakistan. Okay. Okay. So this part here is known as Panjnath, where these rivers, they basically, these tributaries, all of these tributaries go in different directions from this point onwards. And this first river is River Satluj. This is Ravi. This is Chenab. This one's here, Jhelum. And this is the main river Indus. So this is how the tributaries are they change their paths from the main river Indus. And these are the eastern tributaries: Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, and Satluj. So these four are the eastern tributaries of Indus. Okay. Now, to the west of River Indus, Balochistan is located on the western side, okay? So if you look at the west here, the rivers that are there on the western side are those are the rivers of Balochistan, basically. Namely, Zahob, Khandar, Kalachi, Hub, Borali, Hingol. So these are all some of the main rivers that are located in Balochistan towards the west of River Indus. And then we will be talking about the ground. Yeah, I think, yeah, we can continue with the groundwater supplies today. And then, yeah, we can do that. We still have time. So the groundwater supplies now. Groundwater is also a very important source of water for most of the areas of Pakistan. Why? Because the areas that experience extreme summer climates, they prefer groundwater to avoid evaporation in summers. And obviously the water stays cool under the ground as well. But again, that depends on the water table. Water table is the amount of water underground for a particular region, and that water table is affected by natural factors such as rainfall. So having said that, groundwater is not always the most ideal solution. Examples could be tube wells, carry systems, shallow wells. So groundwater sources are basically the conventional water resources supplies, and I mean, obviously, if you talk about the modern water resources, they're obviously through these irrigations. People don't really rely on the groundwater supply anymore. So, but in villages, in the rural sector, yes, groundwater is still used. What advantages could be? It's extremely useful for canal irrigation, low evaporation, and meets the local demand. And it's not preferable for the industrial areas. For example, Karachi, because of the industries, and obviously because of the seepage of toxic chemicals, this groundwater gets toxic and polluted. It's not, and then it is obviously no use for these domestic uses anymore. So it's not preferred to use groundwater in areas, the industrial zones of Karachi and Punjab, maybe. Yeah, so let's just keep it till here. If there's any question, please let me know. We can end the lecture here.
Okay, love it.
All right. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay.
Assignment. Okay. All right. Allah Hafiz.
Sorry, assignment tomorrow.
Yeah, assignment tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay. Allah Hafiz.
Hafiz.